Before we move into the roundtable discussion and the Q&A section of our session, here's a second poll that we kindly ask you to participate. And this one is about the term hydrospatial that you have heard a few times today. And we would like to hear your opinion about this term and how do you see it, if at all you consider it useful or important for the future of geospatial data in the water. So please participate in this poll, and we will make comments about it in a moment. So while you're answering this second poll, I would like to open the floor for discussions from what we have heard today. We have two different examples of using hydrospatial data. From the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, we've learned how they use statistical AIS data to determine the need for new and updated inland ENCs, the differences between blue water charts versus the brown water charts, and how this information is made available to the public. And then how this data is used to create an intelligent waterway transportation system. From the National Hydrographic Center of the Royal Malaysian Navy, we have seen how a well-coordinated national SDI enables the creation of a marine SDI, of which the National Hydrographic Office is responsible for, and the effective application of hydrospatial data for many uses. So with those comments, I would like to open the floor for any comment or question that you may want to ask in the Q&A section of your Slido in the platform, in the UC platform. And I particularly have maybe a couple questions for Dan and Patricia. My first question would be, how critical is the inland ENC data for keeping safe ship traffic in the inland waterways?
I suppose I can take that. Yeah, it's absolutely essential. The whole program came about because of a tragic situation with a vessel hitting a bridge in the fog decades ago, but it's one of the components of safe navigation. And the program's been really successful and widely adopted and accepted by pilots in the marine community. So
okay,
it's absolutely essential.
Good. We have a question here. What are some interesting or surprising findings that have come out of the inland travel time estimations?
Thank you for the question. From the results, we have been able to identify some reaches or some sections of the waterway that had were showing congestion that we weren't expecting them to. So it was actually the Coast Guard was then looking into them further to see what was going on in the waterway there, to see if there's anything that they can do to improve it, if there was a safety issue at the area. And then I guess the other part, just putting the travel time together, this was a multi-year project, and it was just surprising to find a solution to handle the amount of data and to do the travel times in real time. But we've been really happy with our solution right now. It seems to be running well.
Yeah, and there is another question perhaps for you, Patricia. Also, it says that for the inland travel estimations, bathymetry is also taken into account?
I'm sorry, is what taken into account?
Bathymetry. If bathymetry is also considered for the travel time estimations.
No, so we're just doing it by for the reach. I'm not sure if considering, what do you mean by considering bathymetry?
Yeah, me neither, but I think that's my interpretation. I think based on the depth, you could consider ships of larger ships or smaller ships, and if that influences the bottlenecks.
So, that's actually a great point. So we do want to we want to do prediction models. So we want to do what influences the travel time, because that could be used by the prediction. And that's actually not one we considered. So actually, thanks for mentioning that. And maybe especially when we start doing like coastal waterways, we can include as the bathymetry changes, or if there is a shoaling, how that affects the travel time.
Okay.
To Rafael, if I could add on to that,
Sure.
if I'm not sure if they were asking about the charting aspect of the like the recommended track. Yeah, we don't just take into account the vessel tracks when setting that. We do absolutely take into account bathymetry. So.
Okay. There is here another question, and maybe also for you guys in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It says, how do NOAA, U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, DON, etc., all collaborate with overlapping mission spaces when it comes to geospatial services and capabilities? It's an interesting one.
Dan, do you want to take it, or you want me to share my experience?
We can both. I'll go ahead and start with the charting, and we don't have overlap. We've actually coordinated when the Corps of Engineers started producing charts. We made sure that there was edge matching with existing NOAA products, where the inland side came up to the coastal side. So the electronic products don't overlap. There is other overlap, and there's always issues coordinating, but there's a lot of effort that goes into making sure we share data with NOAA where appropriate. So.
Okay, good.
An example of so we use electronic aids to navigation, which it's the Army Corps deploys them, but the Coast Guard's responsible for if they can go out. The Army Corps does the technical side, so it's just lots of communication and making contacts and knowing who's at the other agencies. So you got to put in the legwork in order to make the communication flow.
Good. Here's another one. For the inland mapping, how quickly are you able to update the map or the data in the IENCs?
Yeah, we have a standard monthly production cycle that we push out updates, but we can push out usually within a day. Things like if there is an incident that affected safety of navigation, we can push those types of products out rather quickly. So.
All right. Here's another one, perhaps the last one for you guys is the Army Corps of Engineers focused with only waters found in the US, or is there a focus on international waters such as the EEZ?
As far as I know, we're domestic, but Patty, correct me if I'm wrong. I only work on US stuff.
So our mission is US, so that's what we work on. However, we collaborate with other countries to share our development technologies and do technology transfer if they want to do something similar. But we do have to focus on our mission, which is the US waterways.
Good. Yeah, well, now for Captain Lukman, we have seen how well a coordinated national SDI enables this hydrographic data for many uses. And there's a question for him here in the Q&A section. It says, how has your Navy, that's the Royal Malaysian Navy, strategically and globally for sure, envisioned their future use cases to secure global capitalism's future? That's an interesting one. I guess this one has to do with international shipping and ensuring that transportation of goods are moving. And I guess one of the latest challenges is the pandemic and how things need to keep flowing and goods need to move and people receive what they need to consume, etc. I think that's that's how I interpret this question, but not sure.
Okay, thank you, Rafael. So basically, we as a military, we are the essential service. We basically have to, whatever condition, we still have to perform our tasks and to fulfill our requirement to requirement to deliver our service to the user, especially to make sure the safety of navigation in our waters without any what they call interruption or something that stop us from doing our job. So basically, like it or not, we have to perform our task as the requirement and without any
Okay.
so that's my answer.
Sure. Yeah, it's not an easy answer. It's a tough question because it involves potentially many different aspects.
Yeah.
And as hydrographers, we usually say we are away from any political issues. We
Yep.
want to ensure safe navigation for everybody and unite the world through hydrography, not to separate it or compete. I think, yeah, there are many other questions here that there is one more for you, Captain. This one is also kind of a little bit complicated, and I don't think you need to answer it in full, but here it is. Do you think your collaboration with Esri has given you an upper hand on geopolitical opponents?
Tough question, a very tough question.
Yes, that you're getting the tough ones.
So far, our relationship with Esri, starting in 2005, I think we have making a good relationship with Esri, especially with Esri Malaysia, which support us in develop our database and everything. So in 15 years, the 15-year relationship, I think we don't have any issue with Esri in terms of the support given to us and the cooperation that we carrying either from Esri Malaysia or the US. So we don't have any problem so far.
Yeah, and the way I see it, and like I would like to complement your answer. The way I see it with this technology, with Esri technology, it enables this data for the Malaysian people. So if there are initiatives to develop new port facilities to ensure that the exploitation of the resources in the water are sustainable, that is not like giving you an upper hand on any opponent. It's like giving you an advantage to develop your economy and the livelihoods of people in the country. Having the data accessible and available from authoritative organizations like the Malaysian Navy and the National Hydrographic Center will provide that information that is needed for decision making. That's the way I see it. Instead of competing against anybody, you are competing against yourself and trying to enable the public with this information so everybody can benefit from it, and not necessarily for competition with somebody else.
Yeah.
Let me see if there is any other question here. We have a few more minutes. There are more questions. I don't think we will have time to answer all of them, but we will reach out to you, to those that ask those questions individually. We don't have time to respond. Here's a question for all presenters. This one says, how do you anticipate climate change affecting your organization's goals and data collection? I don't know who wants to answer that one first. I guess for the three of you.
I can, well, some of the issues are if the climate gets harder to predict, like there's more variation and it's harder to know when the variation came, that's going to affect us because shippers want to know, when will the waterways be open? How long will it take them to get from A to B? That'll be much harder to predict. So just because we collect data to help them make those predictions and know, this is when you can expect that there's no ice, or this is, high water is just as bad as the problem as low water. So I think it could be with collecting the data, we just need to be able to collect it even better if there is that much variation. And hopefully the actual collection won't make it harder to collect. It's just be even more important to collect the data.
Anybody else wants to answer?
Well, on a local operational level, maintaining navigation channels basically means dredging. So precipitation patterns changing affects sediment transport and shoaling, and so there could be effects there. That's really hard to predict if things are normal or what is normal, but that's a potential area of impact.
Yeah, just very recently, I think it was last week, we had a heat wave here in the Northwest US, and there were 9 degrees above the highest temperature on record. So it's not 1 or 2, it's 9 degrees, which I think, in my view, raised the alarms. It seems like global warming is going to affect us all. And we know that at least 50% or more of the population live at or near the coast. And there will be the ocean levels will rise. There will be areas that will be flooded, and people will need to move. That's an impact that many scientists have thought would happen in the 2050, and apparently is happening fast. So something just to think about and to have a conscience of what we need to do in order to reduce the pace at which global warming is happening. So we have 3 minutes left in our session, and I would like to close with some final notes for our audience, maybe some take-home messages. We have seen that from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers presentation that statistical analysis for AIS, Automatic Identification System data, is very important to plan for hydrographic surveys and to program the production of inland ENCs. Inland waterways are narrow passages with heavy traffic, and the use of real-time data allows for efficient decision-making during trips and supports in determining operations and maintenance activities. And this is also emphasizing the need for this data through a platform that enables this information in real time and near real time. And from the National Hydrographic Center of the Royal Malaysian Navy, Captain Lukman, we saw a real world example of the use of hydrographic data beyond navigation, which is still very important. We don't want to minimize that. This is very important. But this data can also be used for many other purposes and be the foundation of a marine spatial data infrastructure. I have always said that the main asset of any hydrographic office around the world is bathymetry. And that's pretty much your reference frame for everything else you want to put on the water. You need to know the depth, the water column, the seabed morphology. And also, we saw from the MyGDI project that data sharing and collaboration are key to a sustainable socioeconomic development. So that's the conclusions that I had from the takeaways from your presentations. And I want to thank our presenters today for sharing their knowledge, their experiences, their projects. And I don't want to say goodbye without asking you for your feedback. There is a session survey link at the bottom of this session in which you can tell us what you like, what you didn't like, and that will help us to also improve ourselves. And well, thank you for attending our Maritime Hydrospatial SIG today. We hope it was informative and inspiring for you, and enjoy the rest of the user conference. Thank you.